Hey guys, welcome to Project Metal Music's YouTube channel with your host El Young, and we are here with the brilliant Andrew from the band Luna's Affair. So, welcome, Andrew.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
It's glad to be here. So, Andrew, could you
Yeah.
introduce yourself and what you do within Luna's Affair?
Right. Well, I'm Andrew Murray, originally from Sheffield, now living in Denmark, and I'm the lead singer of Luna's Affair. We're a four-piece band: guitar, bass, drums, and me. And
Yeah,
basically, I sing and write some of the songs.
yeah, cool. Let's go into some of the questions, some like a little bit of history about you.
Yeah.
As a kid, what were you listening to?
Uh, well, well, I really when I started listening to music, my earliest recollections will be Sweet and Slade and Gary Glitter and bands like that, artists like that. And then a bit later, in when I was 11 or 12, I started listening to Sensational Alex Harvey Band, if you know them. That was ages ago. It was still in the 70s, of course. And some of the kids at school used to listen to it as well. So I started talking to them, and they were into Led Zeppelin and Black Sabbath, Rush, and bands like that. So I started listening to heavy metal. And then in the very late 70s, I got onto the punk bandwagon and started listening to punk, going to punk concerts. There was something in Sheffield at that time called Rock on the Rates, so you got to go to concerts really cheaply. So I went to loads of concerts with like the Clash and Ruts and not the Sex Pistols. They could never play anywhere. But that was a great time, the end of the 70s. And then in the middle of the 80s, I moved over here. And well, that's when I started making my own music.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, so who actually got you into like listening to music? Was it a family member, or was it a friend, or was it just like a natural progression for you to actually get listen to music?
Well, like I say, my brother started listening to Alex Harvey and bands like that were like a bit aside from the mainstream. So I got into that, and then school friends. We used to go up to Darren Green's house every Friday and eat frozen pizzas and drink coffee and listen to heavy rock, Led Zeppelin, and play people like that. And then
Cool.
later, other school friends, like I say, got me into punk. So we used to go around Mick Bunting's and drink homebrew and listen to punk records.
Yeah, cool. So, who actually inspired you to sort of like become a singer? Was it somebody like somebody from like say Led Zeppelin, or was it somebody from Alice Cooper, or like somebody from like one of the punk bands that you were listening to?
Well, I always sang. Like I always when I was a kid, you sing in school and that, and everybody's I don't know, people used to think that I sang well, and I'd always be singing along to the radio at home. And my dad says to me, uh, "Why don't you get on clubs, lad? Why don't you get on clubs? You earn £100 a week, then." That was typical for my dad. But he told me once. He told me once that I sang better than David Bowie. Like I heard a lot of Bowie as well at that time, and
Yeah.
he wouldn't. He's a Yorkshireman, so he wouldn't have said that if he didn't mean it. So and then after that, I started singing, just getting up and singing a cappella in pubs on my own, and people used to give me beer for it. So, but then when I moved over to Denmark over here, I was sharing a flat with a bunch of guys actually. One of them played guitar, and he says, "Why don't we go busking down on the main strip?" So we did that, and we were raking it in there.
Oh. So prior to going over to Denmark, or whilst in Denmark, were you in any sort of bands, or were you doing like solo stuff prior to joining Luna's Affair?
Well, prior to Luna's Affair, there's a long time between moving to Denmark and joining Luna's Affair. It's like 30 years. So yeah, I've done it all. Done solo stuff, and I'd done work with other bands before Luna's Affair. A band called The Council, notably. They're available on Spotify. But now I feel that I've hit the mark with Luna's Affair. Yeah, this is the right band. Finally, I'm only 60.
Cool. So, this is sort of like newish questions that I'm going to be asking. What type of genre of music would you class Luna's Affair?
Well, every time we make a new number, what's his name? The bass player, Jan, he says, "Oh, well, we are a country band, or we are a funk band, depending on the style of the number. But it's always rock. It's heavy metal, but some of the numbers have a slightly funky feel to them. One of the numbers has a slightly country feel to them. So he always says, 'Oh, we're a country band, we're a funk band, but we're a rock band.'"
Yeah. What has the band been up to? Especially since you joined the band.
Well, since I joined the band, we've mostly been in the studio. Well, in fact, we've exclusively been in the studio. And it's mostly been me recording, because they'd made all the music prior to me joining. The guitarist rang to me one weekend and asked if I'd be in the band. And I thought, why not expand my horizons a bit, because I live on the same island as Copenhagen, on Zealand, and the studio was in Jutland, so it's like I don't know, 200 miles away or something. Takes a hell of a long time to get there anyway, because you have to either go over a bridge or go over a ferry. But anyway, I digress. What we've been doing is we started by recording an EP, which we released 3 weeks ago, and that's doing quite well on various streaming services. And the CD's available from our home site. Might as well plug that. CD's called Leap. The EP's called Leap. So we were recording that, and we managed to get an LP recorded mostly. We need a few details, like some chorus and some horns and a horn section on one of the numbers, things like that. Small things, small details. but the LP is more or less ready. Problem is, we haven't got a studio at the moment because the guitarist who owned the studio has moved house further south. So at the moment we're on pause, but we've just got the EP out, so we're promoting the EP.
Cool. Are you sort of like doing any or writing any new material, or are you in the process of writing any new material?
We're always writing new material. We problem is, like, we all live in different parts of Denmark, so we're like hours from each other. So it's a bit difficult to just go around Jens' house. Jens is the bass player, or Jens's house. Jens is the guitarist, and say, "I've got these lyrics. Have you got a tune that would go to these?" So what we have to do is compose individually and compare notes when we meet up again, which will probably, I think, be about Christmas. And then in the new year, we'll start working on new material in the studio.
Cool. So, are you sort of like thinking of doing some in the meantime anyway, away from Luna's Affair? Are you thinking about doing some like solo stuff in
Not
the meantime
solo.
too? Like,
Not really solo stuff. I've tried working solo, and I hate it, to be honest. It's very lonely standing on a stage, like, you know, and trying to entertain folks. It's a lot better to have different other people on the stage with you, I think. I always enjoyed that more. But that said, I mean, I do love being on stage, whether it's individually or with a band. But I was in X Factor over here, which is how the band heard of me. And what do you call it? After X Factor finished, they find a load of work for you. So I was going around the whole country doing solo stuff, but I wouldn't want to do it for any extended period of time. I prefer working with bands. That said, I do have a side project with a buddy of mine who lives just down the road from me in Elsinore, and he's got me singing in Danish. So I don't know if that'll ever be released, but that could be interesting to hear.
yeah.
It's a totally different genre, though. It's not heavy metal. It's far more mainstream, sort of Danish folky rock.
Oh, cool. So, if all the stars align, everything is basically financially stable, and everything's basically being sort of like being paid for, and you got financial backing. Would you consider doing sort of like a tour around with the Luna's Affair, tour around Denmark, or going into like sort of like Germany or Poland to do like, or even over to back over to the UK to do tours with Luna's Affair?
That's the plan. That's the plan. We all want to get out on the road. There's already some talk of Germany and of course Denmark, where we live. But they also want to. The drummer, he plays with another band called Cold Drop, and they were offered a job at Sheffield Arena. And I said immediately, because I come from Sheffield, that would be a great job. So yeah, Sheffield Arena, I'd love to play.
Oh yes, it's
Yeah, or anything like that. Yeah. Actually, if I remember rightly, there was a place up near you which was in a cellar. Mind you, this is in the 80s, as I said, so it might have been filled in since then.
Trillions.
Pardon?
Was it Trillions?
Not then, but it might be now. I don't know. I wouldn't know.
Yeah, there's a couple of places. There's the main one that's in the, sort of like in the cellar is the Trillions Rock Bar up on in Newcastle.
Yeah. Right. Did you hear that, Yen? Write that down.
Yeah, it's a really good place, and it's a big supporter for live music.
Yeah.
It's a huge supporter for live music, especially like the local, especially the local bands and the medium-sized bands that do like who's sort of like touring
Yeah.
in and around the northeast of England. Because I've seen like quite a few bands there over the last 6-7 years.
Trillions. Right.
Yeah.
I'll remember that.
Yeah.
Get in touch with them then.
Well, the guy you want to speak to is Dave Hills.
Dave what? Hills?
Dave Hills. As in sort of like
The Hills are alive.
Yeah.
Right that down. I'll get in touch with him. Trillions. Great. Oh. Yeah. But yeah, we'd love to tour. We'd love to I'd love to play live again, especially with my own music. I mean, I've worked with copy bands, like cover bands, for years, but like that's tailing off now, and it's far more satisfying to perform your own songs. I find.
Yeah.
More.
Yes. Yeah. I've spoken to a lot of people over especially over the last 3 years, and they say that it's not it's a good feeling to actually get up on stage and actually create your own music.
Yeah.
And see the crowd's reaction.
Yeah.
To and especially some of the local bands I've seen, and to like some of the bigger, more mainstream bands, people just go absolutely mental for it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's well, that's always been my experience. That I mean, unless a band is really hopeless, I mean, they're usually positively received. So, I mean, that's always been my experience when we were out with the council, which was the band, not the council, you know. But yeah, it's a great feeling. Like you know, you go out and say, well, this is what we do in our free time. What do you think? And people, oh, sounds great.
Yeah.
Not everybody does, of course, but I mean, some of my colleagues hated what I was doing because they're not big metal fans, but that's their problem.
Yeah. It's all down to personal taste at the end of the day.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Unfortunately. I mean, if we all had the same taste, it'd be easier to make popular music, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah. So, where can people find Lacuna Coil on social media?
Oh, everywhere. We're on Twitter, twitter.com, what do you call it, / Luna's Affair. and Facebook, of course. Well, it's all Luna's Affair in one word. And Instagram, we've just started an account on. So, and we've got a home side. So, yeah, anywhere. Just Google Luna's Affair and we'll come up with all the links on the website as well.
Cool. What I'll do is I'll put all the links in for Luna's Affair in the description below. So if anybody wants to check out Luna's Affair, please do. They are a brilliant band. Really, really
Yes.
good band. So,
Please do.
So this is probably going to be my last question. Unless anybody in the chat there has got any questions there for Andrew. My question is, any advice for people who want to become a musician?
Yeah. Practice all you can. Believe in yourself. And if you're doing it for the money, you might as well give up. Do it for the music. Don't do it for the money. I mean, this is costing me a fortune. Not this, but the EP so far.
Yeah.
But I can afford it.
Yeah. Sound advice. Do it for you and do it for the music. Really.
If you don't enjoy the music, then you're doing it for the wrong reason anyway. You know what I mean? If you're doing it, like, as I say, for the money, then it's just a job. You might as well do something you love. And I love music.
Oh yes. So sound advice that do it for you, do it for yourself, and then do it for the music.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sound
That's
advice. Right. So, any final words before we sort of like start wrapping things up?
No, not really. I can't. There's not many people left in England that I can say hello to, except my brother. Hi, Dave. Before I came on, I was just amusing myself by saying hello, Mum, but she died years ago. So, yeah.
So thank you. So thank you, Andrew, for coming on and doing this little interview. It's been an absolute pleasure. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you.
Pleasure's all mine, El. Great. Keep on rocking.
You too.
Right on, man.
So, guys, go check out Luna's Affair. You won't be disappointed, believe me. You won't be disappointed. So go check them out. They are an amazing band, and yeah. So until next time, guys. Catch you all later.
Bye.